On today's show, we're going to discuss the Mavericks player that nobody is talking about. We'll let you know who that is here in just a moment, but I wanted to play a little trivia here on today's show. Can you name all of the numbers retired by the Dallas Mavericks? We'll reveal the answer here at the end of today's show. You might be surprised by a couple of those names that we're going to mention. Let's hop in. I wanted to do our due diligence on Max Christie here on today's show because I feel like he's sort of the forgotten man around on the Dallas Mavericks roster. He obviously came over to the Mavericks in the Luka Doncic trade. And let's just take a look at what he's going to bring to the table for the Mavericks. And if you remember, when he first got here, his first 7 games were unbelievable. He averaged 17 points, 5 rebounds, and shot 47.2% from 3. He was playing a lot of minutes here as well, and I went back and looked at his game logs and looked at his career, and this was by far the best 7-game stretch of his career. And Mavericks fans kind of thought they got a gem in Max Christie because he provided some very valuable minutes and basically single-handedly won the Mavericks a couple of those games en route to getting into the NBA play-in. And frankly, without Max Christie, you probably don't even sniff the play-in, and your draft position could be all different and whatnot. But I really liked what I saw from him in the first 7 games. And then, as expected, his form dipped a little bit throughout the remaining games there in the season. But he did show a lot of promise, and I think that Max is going to play a role for this team. And yeah, the shooting numbers didn't end up super well with him shooting just 41% from the field and 36.5% from 3 compared to those first 7 games. But ideally, his numbers are somewhere in the middle between that first 7 games and what his total stat line was. You hope that he can shoot like 37, 38% from 3. You hope that he can be a little more efficient at the rim as well. But you also hope that he's able to knock down the corner 3, which he struggled with last season. So hopefully he's able to knock down a little bit more of a corner 3. Most of his shots last year for the Mavericks were off the dribble. He's going to have to do a lot more catching and shooting here in this offense, and I hope that he'll be able to evolve his game in order to knock those down from the corner. You know he's going to help you on the defensive end, and you know he's going to be able to fit into that defensive versatility that Nico Harrison is looking for. And one thing I really do like about Max and like about the Mavericks acquiring him is his deal is pretty damn affordable. This year making just $7.7 million, $8.2 million next season. Then he has a player option for $8.5 million in 27-28. And if he plays like Mavericks fans and like their front office thinks that he can, he's probably opting out of the final year of this deal to go get himself a new one because look, right now, this is a very affordable and tradable contract here in the NBA. I know that there's been some talk about wanting to flip Christie in certain deals to try to upgrade this roster, and I can absolutely see the reasoning behind that just given how team-friendly this deal is. And the Mavericks, when they acquired Max Christie, it kind of allowed them to let go of Quentin Grimes, who is trying to command a lot of money here in NBA free agency, and there's a reason Quentin Grimes hasn't signed an offer sheet or has been signed by the 76ers yet because he simply isn't commanding the money that he thought he was going to. And I hate to say this in hindsight, but the Mavericks were kind of right in getting rid of Grimes in place of Christie because they saw kind of the writing on the wall, what Grimes and his agent were going to ask for, and they replace him with a much more affordable player who also holds his trade value with just that $8 million per year salary. So I really like the Mavericks move to go get Max Christie. You saw some promise in the first 32 games that he wore the white and blue of the Dallas Mavericks, and I hope that this season he can really step into his own and create some problems for other teams going forward. I want to play a little 2K here. Rate Max Christie as a player for me down in the comment section. Scale it from 1 to 100, and I know 2K goes to 99, but we'll just go with 100 for the purposes of this video. If you think he's the best player of all time, scale it at 100. If you think he stinks, type 1 down there in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button either. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. We have you covered year-round with the latest Mavericks news, rumors, and analysis. We were all over the free agency and the 2025 NBA draft where the Mavericks took their future cornerstone in Cooper Flagg. We did live watch parties for the Summer League as well, and we will continue to do so during the 2025-26 NBA season. So stay locked in with us. Come join the fam today and enjoy the ride, because this Maverick season, it's going to be interesting one way or another. All right, let's take a look at what Christie's role could be on the Mavericks. And when you look at this team, it is sort of hard to envision where he might fit in here, because the rotation of wings, there's a logjam, plain and simple. This is what I currently think the starting five is going to look like. Obviously, when Kyrie returns, you'll have Flagg at the 2, Washington at the 3, with Davis and Lively in the starting 5. But just look at those wings on the bench. And I have Christie slated at the shooting guard position, but you also have Klay Thompson. You have Caleb Martin. You have Naji Marshall. You even have Max, who might compete for minutes if he's healthy and shows that he has taken a leap. And it is sort of just a weird spot on the roster for this team, because he doesn't quite really have a position. While you'd classify him as a 2 guard, he's going to be competing for minutes with guys who you would not classify as 2 guards, where I think his minutes are going to be, he's going to have to fight for them between Caleb Martin and Naji Marshall. I think Marshall is almost guaranteed to play 18 to 20 minutes a night, so he's really going to be fighting with Caleb Martin for those rotation minutes, because if one of those guys plays, the other probably isn't. And you really just can't play 12 guys a night here in the NBA. I know Jason Kidd would love to do that, but at this point in time, I think it's just going to be a battle between those 2 guys. And maybe if Brandon Williams doesn't get off to the start that we would like to, and doesn't play the point guard role, and doesn't play as well as he did in the second half of last year, you could see Max take some of those minutes. But ultimately, he's fighting for rotation minutes with Caleb Martin, with Naji Marshall, maybe even with Klay Thompson a little bit, even though Klay has all the skins on the wall. But minutes will be hard to come by for Max. And I think the key for him is, if he's able to knock down 3-pointers for this team, he will play. Because I do think the Mavericks lack shooting. You have Klay Thompson as the second best shooter of all time, next to his former teammate in Steph Curry on this squad. And then outside of that, who are your knockdown shooters on this team? Is D'Angelo Russell, can you count on D'Angelo Russell to knock down at 40%? He's done it before in his career. I don't think so. Can you count on Cooper Flagg to knock him down at a super efficient clip? I really don't think so. Brandon Williams and Dante Exum. Now, Exum has shot fantastic in his 2 seasons with the Mavericks, but in limited volume. So if the Mavericks can find a shooter, a consistent shooter out there in Max Christie, I think he will play for this team. And speaking of D'Angelo Russell, who we just mentioned here, he does have existing chemistry with D'Lo, and he was very excited to reunite with his former Lakers teammate. He called him one of his best friends. Here's what Max had to say on the Mavericks signing D'Angelo Russell to that 2-year, $13 million contract. He said, "I was happy. I called him as soon as I found out. That's one of my closest friends and closest teammates. We were together for 2 years out in LA, and I respect him a lot. I admire a lot about him and take a lot from his game, his demeanor, and how he plays. I'm happy to have him." And I'm excited to see what Max has got for this team. I really think he could be an X factor for Jason Kidd, especially if he's able to shoot. Kidd can use him in a bunch of different lineups in a bunch of different ways, and maybe he's going to be the guy that the Mavericks I think he's the forgotten man coming into this offseason. Maybe next season, he's the guy that we are all talking about. Very excited to see what Max Christie can bring to the table for the Dallas Mavericks in the 25-26 NBA season. All right, I asked you this at the beginning of the show. Can you name all the numbers retired by the Dallas Mavericks? Here is the answer for you guys. 41, obviously, for Dirk. We got 22 for the GOAT, Rolando Blackman, who was at the lottery when we won the lottery and got us Cooper Flagg, so shout out to Rolando. We got Brad Davis, the OG Maverick, at number 15, and then Derek Harper sporting that number 12. It's kind of crazy the Mavericks only have 4 numbers retired. I think Jason Terry's number 31 and Jason Kidd's number 2 are next up on the docket, and then when he's done, there is no question, I think 77 goes up in the rafters as well. That will do it for today's show, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in to Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. If the Mavericks make a move, we have you covered right here on the channel.